It's pretty easy to find negative discussion of Dragon Age the Veilguard online. Plenty of people have clearly lost hope. However, there's still the people who are excited, they'll tell you all about it, they'll tell you that you have a moral duty to buy the game. And the question is, are they excited because of, say, the mechanics we've been shown? Maybe the combat, maybe the story, maybe things like choice and consequence, actual things that relate to games, RPGs. Is that what they are excited about? Or is it more about the fact that could the Veilguard be the most progressive game ever? Could this be a game that moves RPGs forward? Or even better, more importantly, could this be a game that moves real-world politics forward in a way these people are desperate for? I have a feeling that it's the latter. And that's what's become very clear. A lot of people, maybe not everyone, I get that some people are just hoping that Dragon Age is actually good again, it's fun to play, but a lot of people, they don't care about that. They don't genuinely care about just a fun, entertaining experience. They see the Veilguard as like a confirmation bias, like it's a middle finger to the bigoted gamers who just want to be entertained, have a good time. The Veilguard's going to be so much more. It's going to be a vehicle, a propaganda machine to push political agendas that these people think are far more important than gaming. In fact, it's fine if gaming completely declines if their real-world agendas are pushed forward. That's what the Veilguard appears to be, and even if there is some fun to be had, we know it's been compromised, it's been made worse, because the developers and their crazed fans, the only ones they listen to, because they share the same wavelength when it comes to politics, they've made it worse to push these social agendas that most of us do not care about, or at the very least, we don't want them in our games. We just want gaming to be great, the best game possible. These people want to make the medium worse in the name of pushing other stuff, other priorities. And here's a very clear example of that. And we are here on Reddit, so surprise, surprise, you come to Reddit, you get weirdos. Nothing new. But it's a little bit different with Dragon Age, because the developers of the Veilguard, they are Redditors. They are the sort of people who would be living on the Dragon Age subreddit. It's the same demographic, and even though the developers want to pretend, oh, we're making a Dragon Age for everyone, it's just like the old ones, it's just had an updated coat of paint. Even though the Qunari look ridiculous, you see the game, you know something just odd's going on, there's something nefarious going on. It's not simply a change in art style. There's an agenda at play here. Even though they pretend, we know who the game is made for. They've made it extremely obvious, but they have to pretend otherwise, because if only their core demographic that the developers care about, if they're the only ones who buy the game, it will flop miserably, as we've seen this year with many other titles that have gone down this road. They're desperately trying to pretend, no, it's normal. It's not normal. It's awful. We can see it. And I think the reason a lot of people want to talk about it instead of just ignoring a game that obviously looks crap is we know if the people making the decisions around the Veilguard, if they just got out, maybe there'd be a chance of a good Dragon Age, a good RPG of some sort. Not gonna happen, it's too late, but maybe in the future, you never know. But looking at this Reddit thread, it's extremely telling. It reads, what's one thing from each Dragon Age game you think hasn't aged well? And there'd be an opportunity here for some interesting objective discussion. For instance, the top comment, the only normal one out of about 500, says the open world design Inquisition. Yes, it did suck. It felt too MMO-ish. Then it goes drastically downhill, and everyone in the sub goes completely mask off. For instance, we've got here are the weaknesses of the Dragon Age games, the top ones. Dragon Age Origins, Oghren, one of the companions, and a lot of the weirdly sexist dialogue. And the reason he says Oghren is because Oghren's sexist as well. That's the worst thing about the game, apparently. Dragon Age 2, Isabella's inappropriate sexual line of questioning regarding Fenris's enslavement, though to be fair, that was always gross. Being able to straight up ask Krem if he's a woman in Dragon Age Inquisition, and then being able to ask Bull, is he okay that Krem is a she? What in the hell was Patrick Weeks, the writer, thinking? Little bit of a pattern there. Didn't see a lot about mechanics, like things we could genuinely improve in the Veilguard, especially because the series has gone downhill. There's a lot of things that you could bring up to get us back to our best. The problem with the fandom of Dragon Age is, while I think a lot of the people, certainly not on here, they might discuss gaming elsewhere, they think that Origins was the best game, for plenty of good reasons. The combat, the fact that it was a real RPG, even just the origin story is quite interesting, how you have like a very different start to the game depending on what you choose. They don't care about that. They think that Origins is a genuinely bad game, not because of any of the mechanics, but because it was sexist. Because there was some outdated sexism that automatically makes it worst game in the franchise ever, and you shouldn't take anything from it moving forward. The Veilguard's way better because it's progressive. None of the game stuff matters. It's purely, again, real-world political related issues. That's what we need to focus on to make games better. That's what these people genuinely think. We can see here, like a lot of people have said, the sexism in Origins is a pretty major debuff. I didn't realize Oghren was so unpopular, although I guess it makes sense because I grew up around my alcoholic parents and their drinking buddies, so I just felt a very familiar vibe with him. My main issue is with Oghren and Zevran and how they talk to women in the crew. It can be way over the border of unacceptable. Now, how does this happen? These people are sitting there playing a pretty immersive game. They're not thinking about the content. They're not having fun. They're sitting there enraged about supposed sexism with the game, how the characters are speaking. This isn't good. I can't handle this. That is the mindset of these people. And yet BioWare, they not only take their feedback most seriously, like they think these are the normal people. These are the people coming at it with good faith. And yet apparently the people saying, hey, maybe keep your politics to a minimum and just focus on making a great core game. If that's your feedback, you're unhinged, apparently. You're a bigot, and you need to stop. You need to get out of the gaming community entirely. You're bad and toxic. It's these people who they listen to. And they only listen to them because the developers genuinely feel the same way. That's what these people are doing in company meetings. They're not thinking about, how can we get back to the days of Origins, early Mass Effect, when people actually liked us. They're sitting around thinking, oh, the Dragon Age Origins, it's just sexist. It's problematic. We can't have that. Let's instead brainstorm around the room. What is a woman? Let's think about that for a while. Then we need to move on to, let's do a checklist of every minority, every disability, make sure all that representation is in the game. That should be the focus. And then someone, the one sane person says, how about we forget about all of that and we just make a good game? And then they get thrown out the window like that meme. That's basically modern BioWare. We've seen that, and that's what we're getting in the Veilguard. And you get a comment here that actually acknowledges the madness and says, the common theme here is that BioWare were apparently very sexist when they made Origins. You'd think that'd be a chance of some self-reflection to go, hey, maybe we are a little bit crazy. Let's just talk about the game for a second. But no, someone says, oh yes, it really does show how the world has progressed a lot in a short time. Still got a lot of ways to go, but it's wild to go back to like 2010 and see how openly sexist such people were. So you read that, still got a lot of ways to go, because remember, it doesn't matter how mad it gets, how ridiculous the Veilguard looks, the Concord looks, and so on. There's still a long ways to go. The games, they're still not progressive enough. We need to keep going with this. It doesn't matter if men look like women and vice versa. No, there's still so much more we can do, so much more progress that we can make. Just remember, these people will not stop until they've ruined absolutely everything. They live for this and nothing else. They don't care about games. They're just here to ruin it. And then you've got this, the upper half of Morrigan's first outfit in Dragon Age Origins. I can't stand that stupid bikini top. That design never made sense to me. It's completely impractical as an outfit for someone who lives in the region that she does. Yes, when they brought it back in Inquisition as well, that definitely felt like fan service to the dude bro fans of Origins. Like, ooh, look at her in her non-mum bod. She's still objectified, don't you worry. It's always interesting, this, because they're coming at it with just a certainty that the people who designed Morrigan, they had to be white toxic men. That's why they put her in a bikini top. But if it came out that the person who designed her was actually a lesbian, pink-haired half-woman, that was who put her in a skimpy outfit, then that would be empowering. That'd be incredible. That is progress. That's what they'd be saying. So it doesn't make sense as usual. I mean, I'm going crazy reading this if I'm thinking about sort of logic. That's not going to happen. But we've got here, despite being a fan favorite, I feel like we won't see Sandal in the new game because having a non-verbal genius for a character with an intellectual disability who can't take care of himself is quite the stereotype. And disability politics have come such a long way since Origins and Dragon Age 2. What's their opinion of a long way? Is it like Rainbow Six, where you pretend that an assault team that's armed with weapons is going to bring someone in a wheelchair along? Is that empowering, or is it patronizing to literally everyone, including the people who are disabled? It's dumb, and you just know that they didn't consult a single disabled person whose wheelchair wasn't rainbow colored. They didn't ask any normal disabled people to give their input, their feedback. Besides the obvious sexism that's been mentioned, Wynn's portrayal as a grandma when she's canonically only 49 years old during Origins, and they made it seem like she's 90 and on her last legs. She then goes on to live to the ripe old age of 59. I don't even know what to say with this one. What is it? Who's thinking about this stuff when they're playing? It's just a character in the game. Oh no, because they're this age, but then they're portrayed like they're this age. Like, oh, the sexism. Oh. I just wish I could be as informed and educated as these people so I could be offended as well. I feel like I'm genuinely missing out on something. Everybody is mentioning Krem, as if the dialogue options, and this is Dragon Age Inquisition, aren't just a vessel for Iron Bull to tell bigoted players to shut the fuck up. This is not a conversation. To give you the context here, and this is what modern BioWare and a lot of developers in the industry want for RPGs. Basically, in Inquisition, there's a character, you talk to them, and the dialogue options, there's only one right answer. The other options are bigoted options. And if you choose them, it doesn't allow you to play as like a bigoted character. It instead lectures you on what a bad person you are in real life. How could you seriously consider picking one of these options? You are evil. You couldn't just be immersing yourself in the game, role-playing as a bit of a mean character or whatever. You are genuinely bad and toxic. That's what they're doing, and this is what they want for RPGs. They don't give a shit about player choice, about you having freedom, wanting to play as maybe a morally good character in one playthrough. The next time, you want to be chaotic evil or whatever. You want to do something quite interesting. They don't want that. They want there to be a right answer all the time, and the right answer is them educating you on their worldview. You need to think like this. RPGs, they're an opportunity for you to learn. So you must do exactly what they say, or they'll stop you in your tracks. You won't be able to progress until you pick the right answer. That is role-playing from modern BioWare's perspective. And they're not mentioning that like it's a bad thing. They're not saying like that's a criticism. They're praising it. And they're saying things like, I remember getting to that dialogue wheel, and basically all but one of the choices was, hey, let me stick my nose into your gender identity real quick. And my Inquisitor was more open-minded and more tactful than that. Hooray for me, I picked the option that BioWare wanted. I am so very special. The truth is, this is who Dragon Age the Veilguard is being made for. And this is a classic example. There's 500 comments, and most of them are like this. It's not a couple of fringe ones that have been downvoted or whatever. Like, most people who are excited for the game, it's this sort of community. This is genuinely who the developers are as well. So if you're thinking of buying the game, just keep in mind, this is what you're going to get. This is the mindset of the devs, and that's what you're going to get for your $60. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am, sadly. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.